Getting my iPad set up and waiting for people to come in. I didn't think I was going to go on today. If you're watching this on the replay, I know nobody's here now, but for the people on the replay, didn't think I was going to go on today. Hey, Boston Bill. I just want to give it a few minutes here to get people into the chat. How are you doing? Are you in the big snowstorm back east? I hear it's from Philly to Boston, so wow. 2 feet. 79 degrees here today. Sorry. It's going to be 85. It's going to be AC weather by Friday. And then I think it'll cool down next week, get back to normal. Yeah, I didn't have a good night either. Did you lose any power, Bill? I saw one of my favorite YouTubers in Rhode Island, and he was just like, I heard a boom at 5 a.m. and no power since. Yeah, that's crazy. It's dangerous. You know, what do? You're stuck in your house with no power. I'm glad you still have yours. Oh, you have a generator. That's good. Just waiting to see if anybody can come in here. It's only been 2 minutes. I don't know why it takes YouTube a while to push it out. And if you're watching on the replay, just go back and, fast forward the first couple of minutes. I have my windows open, so I hope the noise outside, people coming to the lobby and by the door, I hope it doesn't bother people. Yeah, I didn't let anybody know ahead of time either that was going on. I wasn't planning on going on. I had like a reoccurrence of vertigo last night. Oh, you can't hear anything? Can you hear me? Hi, Leanne. Let me just know that you can hear me. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm just giving it a few minutes to let people come in. Oh, good, Leanne. As I was telling Bill, I have this occasional vertigo issue, and it hit me last night, and it hit me hard. And I went to lay down in bed, and it was like, oh no, here we go. And I felt it a little bit yesterday sitting on the sofa. And I think after I read the chat and, all the messages going by so fast last night, I had a lot of people in. I think it triggered something. And then, it was very hard to sleep because I couldn't move. I couldn't turn left. I couldn't turn right. I couldn't put my head down all the way on the. And usually I do well with the vertigo if I'm laying down and I just, don't turn too sudden. But last night there was no comfortable position. And if I got up to use the restroom, like, the bathroom was like, everything was like this. And I was just like, oh my God, why is this happening now after all I've been through? I've had it off and on since 2016. But something triggered it this week. And so, it was awful. And I wasn't going to go on today because it's like, I don't want to have to read the chat and be looking at the iPad and the phone, and then, it triggers again and I have another sleepless night. But then I just heard an update on something that's kind of important. But we only have 4 people in here right now, and I think one of those is my iPad communicating with my phone. So that means there's really 3 of you here. Leanne, Boston Bill. Hey, there's Karen. How you doing, Karen? Here's one of my mods. Yeah, I was just telling Boston Bill and Leanne that I was having a vertigo reoccurrence last night or recurrence, and it was just awful. So I wasn't planning on going on today, but I heard something today it's a kind of an important update on this case. I mean, they still haven't found her. I still don't think they have a clue where Nancy Guthrie is where she is, whether she's alive or dead. They still don't know her whereabouts or who has her or who took her. but they did give a very important piece of information to the public today. And that is when you see the guy at the door and he's wearing the ski mask and he's got the backpack and he's got the gun, if you notice in some of those videos and photos, you see what appears to be the same guy, same body type, but he doesn't have the gun, he doesn't have the holster, he doesn't have the backpack on, and he might possibly even be wearing a different jacket. But it definitely, to me, it seems like it was the same guy. But I'm like, well, wait a minute. How come he's at the door with the gun and the backpack? But then in the picture where he's just off the front step of the porch, he's not wearing the gear. And were those pictures taken the same evening, the same day? And it turns out that I got to be really careful because, this vertigo, it's still here a little bit. It turns out that it is two separate images from two separate days. And they're not saying what day the image is where he's not wearing the backpack. When you see him at the door with the backpack and the gun, that was the wee hours of the night on Sunday morning, February 1st. But when you see him standing off the porch, whoever was standing there with no backpack and no gun, no holster, and it almost looked like the mask was somehow turned around, like, and it could have just be the poor lighting because there's no lights there, but it looks like there was no eye holes and no mouth. And it's like, is that just a reflection from the camera? And, in the second day, he's got the flashlight in his mouth. You can operate it with your tongue, I think. Like, is that two separate people? Is that two separate days? And now the police have clarified today that whoever did this, obviously somebody did a trial run. And maybe that's why they're asking the neighborhood now, hey, go over your film, go over your Ring doorbell footage or your Nest footage or any surveillance cams that you have on the exterior of your property. Let's see different cars that were driving down the road. Let's see if there was any strange people walking around. But I think it would help the neighbors to know, like, what exact date that they're looking at. So apparently the guy was there before. Now, was it just a few hours before on the night of Saturday, January 31st, while she was out with Tommaso and Annie? Was it after she came home? Was it a completely different week, a completely different day? It definitely was, am I hydrated? Yes, I am, Karen. But I'm laying off the diet root beer because I had just reintroduced that back into my diet once I knew that the stone or the stone fragments weren't there. And I read last night that these diet sodas contain aspartame, which I knew that, which is not good for you, and that aspartame can trigger vertigo. Now, also, 2 of my heart meds can trigger vertigo. So I don't know which it is, but I just recently started the root beer again, the diet root beer, and I didn't drink that much. But this started again. So I'm like, oh my God. And it's the worst feeling in the world. I mean, other than, somebody having a stomach bug, it's the worst feeling in the world when it happens and you can't lay down at night or you can't turn your head or roll side to side or, you may fall down going to the bathroom at night. Like I had a really bad fall last July where I literally almost broke my right arm because I very carefully stood up, but I had a vertigo spin and I just crashed into a shelf and crashed into a wall and then fell backwards and luckily didn't, split my head open because on a blood thinner I would have bled to death. But let's not get too gory here. Boston Bill says, it's been so long, she's deceased, we might never see the body again. I hope not. But the longer it goes, that's exactly how it could end up. I wish they would get the cadaver dogs out in Arizona. I mean, how big can Tucson be? It's surrounded by desert, but I don't expect somebody to be out in the desert with hard soil and rocks digging a hole. That wouldn't be easy to do. Yeah, it would be easier to toss someone into water, but I don't think there is any water in Tucson. I don't think there's rivers or lakes. I mean, I could be wrong. I think you'd have to go to the south or to the north. I mean, oh, it's such a gruesome thought. But I think, people who do that things, for a living, or I don't know, maybe they should put up drones, or they should put out cadaver dogs, or people that there's a lot of civilian companies now that help find missing people and missing vehicles underneath water. Look for farms with barns. Yeah, I mentioned barns and sheds. Yeah, I would. Like, everybody in that town needs to just go out and check their property for sure. Now, if she's being held somewhere, then that would be for naught. I don't know. Like, remember they said that somebody was pinging, not pinging, but Google came up with some evidence that someone had been typing in Nancy Guthrie's address or Savannah Guthrie's salary prior to this happening. And there's some rumor going around that that's coming from somewhere in Colorado. This is all pure conjecture. Hello, Fabian. Boston Bill, this could be crazy. You think she might have pulled a disappearing act? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Yeah, they're saying one Google search nationwide. Now everybody's looking for it now, because I've looked for it since this happened, just to see like where she lived in connection to where other people lived. And hi, Bonham, how you doing? I haven't seen you in a while. Boston Bill says, I agree, but someone said that to me. Someone said what to you? About the Google searches and that it was from Colorado? No, they didn't. But Bonham, they found out that when they showed the man in the video, the masked man at the front door, and it appears to be two separate shots, because in one shot he's wearing the backpack and the gun and the holster, but then in another shot where he's standing further back, there is no gun, there is no holster, there is no backpack. And apparently a suspect or suspects, it looks like the same body type, could be a different jacket, but they have confirmed that those two pictures are from two separate days. Those video clips, like the person that came to the door in the mask, that wasn't the first time that man had been there, because they definitely have another date that they're interested in. Fabian says, I was wondering, do you think she slipped, bust her head, and wandered off and she's in some type of drainage ditch? No, absolutely not. She wouldn't have taken her Nest doorbell with her, and her cameras wouldn't have been smashed, and her strobe light in the back wouldn't have been smashed. Absolutely no way. Somebody took her. Boston Bill says, it's wild. Law enforcement really dropped the ball. Yeah, I think they should have left that place secure, for one thing, because if somebody does get arrested in the future and they arrest somebody based on evidence found at the house, a good lawyer could pick that apart in a courtroom, because the scene was unsecured and too many people traipsed on the scene. Have they searched drainage culverts, Karen? Yeah, Bonham, I hope they find her soon. Yeah, I keep seeing water, but I'm not a psychic. I do have good spidey senses, but I keep seeing water. Maybe that's just because she lives in a desert where it would be hard to dig. I'm still have mixed feelings regarding the car, because I don't know the Range Rover, why they were looking for that Range Rover, and the Dailies and their association or non-association with Zach Jaghoob. I kind of wish that I had not multiple times gone down the psychic rabbit hole and seen the most recent, but it turned out when I saw that video was 6 or 7 days old, where some lady kept hitting on Jordan, and she thought that was a person. But, you know, and I don't believe in anything like that. I don't believe in like tarot cards or spirit boxes. But she kept saying, "Who's Jordan? Who's Jordan?" And I almost fell over dead because I had just done a live and we were talking about Zach Jaghoob of Jordan. And I've seen again online where he's in a discussion with someone, or someone using his username is in a discussion with somebody saying, "Hey, I sold that car to a lady, a mother and a son, and I'm not in the country right now." Then, this all blows up and he's like, "Oh, I haven't lived in the United States since 2019. But he's been here a lot. He's been in LA. He's been in Tucson. He's associated with that dealership. The car that was taken had the dealership tag, but yet the car that was towed by the FBI most recently, we don't even know who it was registered to. It was sold on Craigslist. It wasn't part of the dealership, apparently, but it had the dealership tag. Maybe he owned it personally. Maybe he didn't. There's no way we don't know what the license plate is or the VIN number. And I wouldn't run it anyway because I'm not working this case, so I would have no authorized reason to run it. But I'd like to know more about that car, the registration, who bought it, who sold it. I would love for our police or FBI to check into when was the last time, because I don't want I'm still feeling a little off with the vertigo episode that I had last night. Oh, I missed your message. It says retracted. Oh, I'm sorry. What was it? Arizona Desert Walker. I'm trying not to look too much at the chat because after I did this last night and then I tried to go to bed, I had a vertigo episode that was horrible. And it's never affected me that badly when lying down. So I couldn't get comfortable to sleep because I couldn't put my head down all the way, and I couldn't turn to the right or turn to the left, and I have to keep hydrating. So every time I'm like hydrating, then in the middle of the night, it's like, oh gosh, I gotta get up and pee, and then I would be walking, and I was walked out to the living room to check on the rabbit and to give her some more hay, and I was walking sideways to the left, like the Leaning Tower of Pisa, like I was like, oh damn, I'm walking sideways, and I'm like trying to hold on to stuff so I didn't fall down. So it'll be a short one tonight. Okay. Arizona Desert Walker. I said after you said Jordan, there is an independent journalist in Tucson. Oh, okay. Is his name Jordan? Yeah, I don't know why it vanished either. Fabian, my biggest concern is why isn't the family talking? Well, obviously they know something, and I think they have private investigators working for them, and those investigators have told them not to say anything. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Well, it wasn't deleted. It just says retracted. So that can only be retracted by the user. Oh, well. Was that your comment? What was your comment? The one that vanished? Oh, I said after you said Jordan, there was an independent journalist in Tucson. And was his name Jordan? Because the psychic rabbit hole I went down the other night, it was just like the lady kept saying Jordan, and who's Jordan? But yet it said Jordan, and then it said international, and then I was like, but why am I even being sucked into this? It was just, that's kind of an unusual name, Jordan. So when that came up, I was just like, oh my God. But then I was like, okay, this is silly. This is just silliness, April. Go back to square one and look at the most obvious of suspects. But because she is the mother of Savannah Guthrie, and Savannah Guthrie makes a lot of money, and apparently she's made, the mother, Nancy, who's missing, had made, multiple appearances over the years on the Today Show. And it was very well known, I guess, in Tucson that, who she was and where she lived and who her daughter was, that would put a target on her back. if somebody was after her for money. I mean, it's terrible that somebody would go and abduct an 84-year-old woman, but it's not a usual typical kidnapping. Kidnappers don't stay in a house that long. Karen says it's either YouTube or solar flares. Oh, her name is Jordan. Any evidence on water? I keep seeing water. And all these, BS psychics and spirit box readers are apparently able to communicate with her. And I don't think, if there's any truth to any of that they'd be able to do so if she wasn't already deceased. But, I'm a detective. I have been for a living. Tomorrow's my 42nd anniversary, although I have not been full-time since the 35th year because of, my health. So, but, that's still who I am, even though I'm basically stuck at home now, disabled. And, I still have my spidey senses, and it just tells me to look at the people closest to her or look at somebody who may be targeting Savannah Guthrie. Do they have well water? That's a good question. I think some of the properties do and some don't. I heard that about the septic tanks too, that some of the properties are on city water and some are on well water, and that she did have some sort of either a septic tank or a cistern in her yard, in her backyard. Arizona desert. I placed the water data on my X for you. Only evidence I have on that topic. Oh, I'll have to check it out. Yeah, I'm usually on Threads. I'm not usually on X anymore. Yeah, as Karen says, what's with the water data? And it's weird, though, that the blood drippings were outside the house on the front porch, and then they went a little past the front porch, but they stopped before they got to the street or the driveway. They just stopped. And apparently the same type of droplets were found in the house, but they're just not saying where. But it wasn't like it was a bloodbath like you would see at a murder scene, but it was droplets, and they had not been apparently compromised or stepped on. Universe is toxic, says Fabian. Karen Hunt says she's not on X or Facebook. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Threads. I'm on Instagram, but not very much on Insta anymore. Oh, okay. Well, I'll have to go check out. Is your username Arizona Desert Walker on X? You mentioned water last night, so I posted the evidence for that topic for you. Okay. Yeah, I'd be interested to read that. And some of the big YouTubers that are usually out there, like, 24/7, well, except at night to go to their hotel and go to sleep. Some of those big YouTubers weren't even out there anymore. Like, I'm telling you, this is the week that this story is just going to like dry up and disappear. And that's going to be terrible for the family because, how do you get on with your life, or your lives? Like, what about Savannah Guthrie? She's under contract with the Today Show, but obviously they're giving her a free pass here. And they're like, yeah, just do what you have to do. But at some point, what does she do? She doesn't live in Arizona. I would presume she lives in New York or somewhere in that area. Like, and her kids probably go to school there. Like, what do you do? They're all their lives, her life, her husband's life, her kids' lives, they're all on hold right now. As far as I know, the FBI still has the car of Annie and Tommaso. Like, I don't even think they're staying at their house because the police have been there for so long. I mean, you hear how I said that? They've been there for so long. What kind of evidence do they have or don't have? JLR is still there just recording random stuff, okay? Yeah, I've heard of him. How is he connected to? There's another YouTuber out there named 857. Is that correct? 857 Tucson or 847 Tucson, something like that. But they're two separate channels, I think. But they seem to sit together or know each other. I don't really know a lot about either one of them. Oh, hey, Michelle. Oh, you found me from Whatnot. Well, thank you, Michelle. I have about 4,000 followers now on Whatnot, but I haven't done a show. Well, I only did one show this year, and it was just for like an hour, and it bombed. So I don't have a lot of inventory right now, but I do have some in the inventory. So if anybody here is not signed up to Whatnot, go to my channel page and get my Whatnot link, and Whatnot will give you $15. You know, the other night I mentioned that, and when I got off the show, when I got off my live stream here on YouTube, somebody had gone and used that code. And I didn't recognize the person's, username, but somebody went and used the code and they bought something. It wasn't for me, but it doesn't matter. Like, you can just go sign up using my code and they'll give you $15 and then you can shop anywhere. I was like, hey, it's $15 free for shopping. Why not? And then somebody did it. Oh, okay. You are saying Arizona Desert Walker 857 Tucson is local and JLR is Florida. Oh, okay. But do they know each other, or they're just sitting together because all the YouTubers are like sitting together out in front of her house across the street? 857 restreams JLR. Oh, I didn't know that. Who was the guy? It was somebody the other day. Somebody that has a lot of subs. I don't remember who it was. And somebody in their chat said, "Oh, you're making $100 in super chats like every 10 minutes." I thought I would be happy just to have the views, get up to 4,000 hours again and, reapply for my monetization and start over. Like, I guess those people do that for a living, though. I'm not here to make a living. I haven't profited a dime off my channel, sadly. He gets offended when people bring up JLR's past. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know anything about him. Vicky. Hello, my friends and I hope that everybody has been keeping their ear to the ground, but I found you because I always check the like and subscribe button and I double tap the screen to make sure. Oh, thank you, Vicky. Yeah, I just wanted to update people that today they did finally verify that, the picture of the guy at the front door, the video of the guy with the mask and the gun, but then you see another picture and he doesn't have the backpack on anymore. He's still got the mask, but it seems to be turned, and there's no backpack, there's no gun. And I think it's the same guy, but those were obviously filmed at two different times. And now they have publicly stated that, yes, the suspect, the ski mask suspect, was there before on another day, but they're not saying the date. Another day could have been a few hours before midnight on January 31st, but he obviously had been there before, and they think maybe he walked up, saw the camera, and then was spooked and left. I think it was somebody doing a trial run. That's why, if you do have a Nest Cam or a Ring Cam or any type of surveillance cam on your property, especially on the outside, like the front door, anywhere, you should go through your video footage every day because, had she done so, maybe she would have known that there was a guy in a ski mask that had been lurking around in her front lawn before this actually happened. And maybe she could have called for help, like, hey, there's some scary guy that's on my nest. But she didn't have the subscription, so she may not have seen that. Let's see. Wow, we don't have very many people here tonight. That's okay. It's a Monday night. I wasn't going to go live because as I explained earlier, Vicky, I had a vertigo episode last night, and it was just like, maybe reading the chat triggered it. Maybe the fact that I started the diet root beer again, and it's got the chemicals in it. Something triggered something in my brain, and my vertigo came back, and it was just misery. And I feel it a little bit today, but not as bad as I did yesterday. So hopefully I'll be able to lay down in my bed tonight and not like as soon as I lay down like I did last night and go, and it was just like, oh my God, and then every time I would get up to walk to the bathroom or the living room, I was walking like sideways and, the walls were doing this and it was just like, oh no. I've suffered that off and on since 2016 and it came back in 2025, last April 2025, and for the last 10 months. I've been dealing with it off and on for 10 months. I even been to an ENT specialist and they couldn't find anything. They said it wasn't my inner ear, that it had to be behind my ear, like where that connects to the brain. And it just never ends for me. And I get really upset when that happens because that's when I finally just, my emotions boil over and I lose my cool. Like, what I don't want to say, I don't want to, question up there and go, what else can happen? Like, I'm so done with the health issues. Fabian says, that's what I don't get is knowing why Savannah having all that money not paying for the subscription. Maybe she wasn't aware. Fabian, I find it hard to believe. You find what hard to believe? Oh, that Savannah didn't pay for the subscription. Well, remember when this first happened and the Pima County, I think it was Pima County, somebody put up $2,500 for the initial reward, $2,500, and it wasn't Savannah. And people were kind of like, well, wait a minute, it's her mother and she makes $8 million a year. Like, what's the deal? And then the FBI came in and they threw in 50 and then they raised it to 100. Well, first they had 25, then they raised to 50 and then to, I think, 100. And I don't know, is it 200 now? I've totally lost track. My mind with this vertigo thing is just not working. But somebody, now I remember, somebody came in a few days ago and donated 100,000 to the reward, but they wanted to remain anonymous. That could be the family. So yeah, the FBI had raised it to 100. Then a new donor came in and put in an extra 100. And I don't know if the original $2,500 is still on the table. But yeah, people are like, hey, she makes $8 million a year, and why is the reward $2,500 for the mother of somebody famous? But I just think things were happening, at that point, and it just took a few days to straighten everything out. What did I miss, Karen? A lawyer that is related to Crime Stoppers? You mean, is that person the anonymous donor? I haven't heard anything about that. And I think it was falsely reported earlier in this case that some money had been put into that cryptocurrency account, that Bitcoin account, before the second deadline, but that turned out not to be true. Fabian, someone's seeing what happened, even though there's no subscription. It alerts you and allows you to see a live feed, but doesn't download the content. Oh, Crime Stoppers gave $2,500, says Michelle Wallace. Welcome, Michelle. Through Crime Stoppers, it's anonymous, but they get the reward. Yeah, but who gave the extra $100,000 on top of the other $100,000? It's a pretty big reward now. Why doesn't somebody come forward? I mean, I just can't imagine that there's nobody in this world that doesn't know something, Some anonymous lawyer. Yeah. I mean, money talks, When the Ennis Cosby murder happened here in Los Angeles, believe it or not, the National Enquirer put up a large amount of money, and that was many, many years ago. That was like early 90s, mid 90s, like 30 years ago. And I think it was like 50 grand or something, but that was a lot of money back then. And people stepped forward right away. And then they found the gun, and then it was connected to this guy, and I don't think it was registered to him, but it was some Russian kid. It was part of some, Russian mob or something. It was just a kid. My husband and I are living with my 83-year-old mother who is living out her golden years here at home instead of a nursing home. Well, thank you for doing that, Vicky. Nancy says, did I hear you say vertigo, an over-the-counter medicine for motion sickness? Meclizine works. I think they gave me a prescription of that at the hospital, but it tanks the blood pressure, and I have heart issues. So I have to be careful of anything I put into my body medication-wise, even non-prescription, especially non-prescription meds. Well, bless you, Vicky. Bless your mother. What a horrible thing. Just a horrible thing. But so the guy in the video, the two different images, the one at the door and then the one that's out, not at the door yet, that's two separate dates. That's the big update for today. That whoever did this, there was a trial run because the first guy did not have the backpack, did not have the gun in the holster. I hate to say it, Fabian, but it may have already gone ice cold. I mean, maybe not ice cold because supposedly they're still waiting for some DNA. But the sheriff said the other day, like, well, that could take months or years because some of the DNA that doesn't belong to her apparently, but belongs to somebody else it's contaminated or it's got multiple pieces of DNA from more than one person. Because, she does have people that come in her house, and she recently had friends over for her birthday to play Mahjong. So, like, am I pronouncing that right? Is it Mahjong? Mahjong? I've never played it before, but she was totally into it. In fact, her husband, when he was alive, had brought her a board from Singapore, years ago, decades ago, that she still owned. And Karen says, something is really creepy about Sheriff Loco. Oh, you mean Sheriff Bananas? People are calling him Bananas now. It's intertwined. Vicky says, I made a promise to her years ago that I wouldn't let that happen, and I found out, brought her back home, and she was going to sell the house and split the money. Vicky says, my own sister. Am I a hippie? Oh my God. Tobias, I think you're in the wrong chat, man. Who was going to sell the house and split the money? I'm confused. Are you talking about your family? But this has got to be someone they knew or close. Probably. Unless it was just somebody targeting Savannah Guthrie. Because, I have to tell you from my experience as a PI that celebrities do have a target on their backs, and so do their family members. So, oh, your younger sister was going to make her sell the house and split the money? Being her mother. Yeah, what do you guys think? Do you think is this his family or friends, or do you think this is unrelated to the family or the friends or someone close, that it's just it just even if it was somebody targeting Savannah Guthrie, that's not how you do a kidnapping. And you don't walk up to the door like that and do the weird stuff with the camera that the guy did, and he made a trial run. Like, where he's already like seen it. How would he know that she didn't have a subscription and that she couldn't go back and see that, or that she wasn't home at that time, or was that in the middle of the night? Was that the night before, like hours before he came back with the backpack and the gun? Your own flesh and blood, I'm telling you, this world is going crazy. Fabian, can't be family. Didn't they find no match on the glove? Well, that glove doesn't mean anything. They've got at least 16 gloves that are laying out in the desert that may have absolutely nothing to do with that crime scene. In my mind, no one is eliminated until they have some piece of concrete evidence. Nobody is eliminated. Remember, they spent more time at the family house than they have spent at Nancy Guthrie's house. Karen says they showed several vids on news of weirdos stealing things in her neighborhood after dark. Yeah, that happens. It happens in every city. Vicky says people don't just disappear like this because they've not found a body. Not yet. And I've always said, no matter what the evidence points to, even if it points towards homicide, that until you have a body, you always keep looking. You always keep looking as if the person is still with us. You never give up. Or proof of life. Bicycles and such, yeah. Yeah, but how do you carry a body away on a bicycle, you know? And several neighbors saw a white van with tinted windows in the neighborhood days before this happened. Yes, same looking kind of people with backpacks roaming the streets. Yes. You know, I'm charging my Ring doorbell camera right now because I got the notice. I got the notification that it was like it had 30% charge, and that's usually like a week's worth. But I'm like, oh, I'm going to charge it right now. I'm going to make sure that it's charged before I go to bed tonight and have it back on that door. And I thought, let's just look through this, for the last 24 hours. And I did. And I swear to God, last night there was some guy that walked through the lobby, and didn't catch him until he went by my door, and I didn't recognize him. And he was wearing dark clothes, a ball cap, and a black backpack. And I don't know if he lived here, but it was like middle of the night, like, 4 in the morning or something. And I'm like, holy shit, who's that? And he never stopped at my door or looked, but somebody came walking through this building in the middle of the night in dark clothing, a dark ball cap. Everything was all blacked out, and a black backpack. And we have a lot of lighting around, so I get pretty good images of people on my camera. I get really good images. And like, it was creepy. And it may just be somebody that lives here. And I couldn't see their face, but I could just see the side profile and the black cap and the black clothes and the black backpack. Like, who's that walking around at 4 o'clock in the morning, Sunday night, Monday morning? Like, oh my God, who's that? Maybe in a facility that is right under their noses. Oh, hi, Rita. Karen, roofer or handyman, session 1 of video I suggested. What video? Vicky. And they are randomly stopping people with backpacks, and the homeless people are being targeted for some reason. And that ski mask, even though it's sold by Walmart, it's also apparently sold by other stores, and you can't get it in a Walmart in Tucson. You have to order it online. But there's other places that sell that. Same with the clothing. Some of the clothing they think could have come from Walmart, but it could have come from other vendors as well. It's just that the backpack was associated with Walmart, but apparently Walmart doesn't make that model anymore. So, I mean, it helps to know some of this, but it's a long shot because most of those stores save their videos for 30 days or less. Oh, channeling Eric. Yes, yes, Karen. Tape 1. I need to see the first one. I saw the second one. Oh, you mean the spirit box session? and she channels her deceased son, Eric. Yeah, I'm going to watch that tonight, Karen. Oh, Vicky. If her blood pressure goes out of whack, it'll affect her heart rhythm, and she needs the medicine Eliquis, is what I take as well. Me too. Oh, and I had to go off of it for my kidney procedure, and then it was really a risk because I just had my heart surgery in January. Oh, because it was supposed to be December 31st, New Year's Eve. It got delayed. The doctor got COVID. They did it the second. He was still sick, and but I was like, we couldn't put it off any longer. And he's like, the two people that missed, we're gonna do it on the second, and then he's like, you got to be on it at least 30 days. I have to be on it the rest of my life, but he's like, you got to be on it at least 30 days in a row. But yet the urologist office was like, oh, but you have to be off of it for 5 to 7 days before. And that surgery was on the 6th. And it was just like, oh my God. And then in the surgery room, he tells me to go back on it. And it was too soon. And like blood started coming out. And I was just like, oh my God. Like, I feel like I'm 90 years old. I'm nowhere near her age. Tape one, not a spirit box. Okay. I'll look at that. Channeling Eric. Okay. See, my mind's just not working because, like I said, I had this whole vertigo crap happen last night. M Sticker, what is the live about? I just got here. It's about missing Nancy Guthrie and today's update. Yeah, does anybody here know if any of the big YouTubers that have been covering this live, were they out there today? I know there was this one channel that I looked at and there was nobody there. Check out JLR. Okay, I'll do that. He is always out. Oh, is that the guy from Florida? Because I think, yeah, I did check for him today and he wasn't there. But I might have missed him. Hines. There was a big money. She had control of that. A lot of people wanted. This is more complicated than anyone could imagine. Yeah, there's a lot that we don't know, truthfully. Vicky, I am 62 and just had my pacemaker put in last May 29th, and I made it through the surgery and came home the same day, and I'm beating at 70 beats a minute. Terrific. They've been out with sticks walking around. I saw the ladies from Mexico with the sticks, and they had asked to do a search, and the sheriff said, no, you're going to need a permit. You're going to need a permit. And they came all the way from friggin' Mexico to volunteer to walk around the neighborhood. And he's like, no, you'd have to get written permission from private property owners, and you would have to get a permit. And everybody else just said, you know what, F you. And on Sunday morning at 8 o'clock, a bunch of people gathered and started searching her street and the streets, in that area. And good for them. But I saw these ladies. They went over and they were digging something in the lawn. Like, what? What was that about? The Mexican women with the sticks, with the metal rods, and they were like testing something in the dirt. What was that about? Bonbons Cafe, welcome. What is your sense as a PI? Would police normally spend that much time at a family member's house if they didn't have some extra significant reason for suspicions? Well, you read my mind, Bonbons. It's one of two things. It's revenge or it's money. She was targeted specifically for a reason. They did spend more time at Annie and Tommaso's house investigating than they did at Nancy Guthrie's house where the crime occurred. They obviously know something or suspect something that we don't know about yet. And I'll remind everybody, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but I have been the only YouTuber and the only person, period, that I know of that's mentioned the second mortgage on the house that was taken out in 2017 for 70 grand. Just saying. There could be a logical explanation for that. But who was setting her up for money? Oh, hey, Curmudge. Oh, I can't wait to see your new video. Yeah, I almost didn't come on, Curmudge, because my vertigo hit me again last night, and it was a bad night. And I think I was just on this chat for too long, and the messages were going so fast last night because I had a lot more people in here than I do tonight, and something triggered the vertigo. I don't know if it was me reintroducing the diet root beer into my diet or what it was, but it was bad. I had a very bad night, and I haven't eaten much in the last couple of days, and I was supposed to buy groceries and I didn't. I'm just like nibbling on stuff right now until I feel better. Um, must be the money. It's always about money. Boo Boo says property, insurance policy, savings account. Exactly. I still want to know why she took out the second mortgage at, she would have been 75 or 76 years old because she was 84 now, and it was 2017, 8 or 9 years ago. What was that money used for? Why would you take out a 35-year loan at that age and be making really small payments on it at that age? Like, was it for the house? Was it for, maybe she needed a new AC, a new heater, a new roof? $70,000. That's a lot of money. What was that used for? I haven't done a title search on the house. I don't intend to, but I'd sure like to know everything there is to know about the finances of every single person in that family. Curmudge, money does not buy you happiness. I have had it and not had it. Now I have what I need and I am happier. Absolutely, Curmudge. Yeah, the roof does look newer than that, but I think it's because it's been treated with that white stuff. It's some sort of, maybe Curmudge would know because he's an expert at like construction. What is the white substance that they put on roofs out in the desert to keep the house cool? Because her roof looked like super, super clean for sitting out there in the middle of the dusty desert. Check the bank statements and dates. Absolutely, Vicky. They paint it, maybe. Yeah, it looks like a paint, but it's actually some type of. It's not just paint. It's some type of substance that's used as a cooling particle, but I don't know what it's made out of. Curmudge, the white stuff is put on to keep it cool. They also use it on pool decks in Florida. They call it cool coat. See, I knew Curmudge would know. Thank you, Curmudge. Now I can look that up. Cool coat. So it's more than just paint, is that correct? Karen, extended family, yes. Vicky says something about not that granite siding. Curmudge says the white reflects the sun, yes. It's a form of paint. Okay. Yeah, I think a lot of the roofs around there have that. And I'm sure, like with anything else, you have to replace it every so often, especially in the desert where it's so dry. Dryness affects AC units, it affects roofs. Just like, when you live here in LA and you live near the ocean, if you live like really close, like Santa Monica or Malibu, the salt in the air affects the systems and the systems can rust out quicker. Where here in the valley, they can just, dry out because it's so hot. So it keeps the house cool. Curmudge says they also have tile roofing that has it pre-installed on it. Oh, okay. Well, hers is a really old house, and people keep talking about the stairs. But what stairs? Like, what stairs? Like, they said, how would they have got her down the stairs? What stairs? To me, it looks like a one-story house. Is that just an optical illusion from the drone shots from the news? Vicky says, and warm weather withholds the heat. Okay. Yeah, apparently in the summer there, it's over 100 degrees every single day. And they say it's a lot cooler there than Phoenix, even though it's further to the south, closer to Mexico, because of its higher elevation. I thought about that too, Vicky. Like, is there a basement But they wouldn't be carrying her down from the first floor to the basement to get her out of the house. Because you don't see like a basement exit or windows. At least I haven't seen that on any of the photos or the videos of the house. Or a small upstairs room and bath. Yeah, I know there's a guest house in the back, but they keep mentioning that about her being carried down the stairs, or how did she get down? Like, what stairs? What stairs are they talking about? She doesn't even have steps leading to the front door. I think it's just like one little step. They don't build the houses up there because, the snow melt will flood the house, Dickie says, nope, none in the pictures they've shown. Yeah, I don't know why they keep talking about that. That could just be more misinformation. Just like, oh, well, she didn't show up at the church that she didn't go to since before COVID. And now that's all been straightened out, that Savannah actually introduced her to a church in Manhattan. And ever since then, she had been going online, and she goes over to a friend's house where they all gather at the friend's house on Sunday mornings, and they do the online church service. Kermudge says you just looked online. At the house or the white roof? Look at the timeline. Well, that's another thing about Sheriff Bananos. Yeah, Bananos is what people are calling him now. We're talking about Chris Nanos, but everybody's calling him Bananos. The timelines keep changing, especially as to when she was supposed to be at the church that she really wasn't at, and when the family was notified versus when they actually went over to the house to look for her, and how many minutes or hours or eons went by before they called the cops, and the timeline keeps changing. Even the timeline of the camera was intruded upon to the pacemaker disconnected, or it stopped syncing with the iPhone or the Apple Watch. All the timelines keep changing. But somebody was around a long time inside the house, and it could have been more than one person. But now we know that the masked man with the gun in the backpack had been there before on another date. Now, another date could have been just a few hours earlier on Saturday night, January 31st. But the police are asking the neighbors for video going all the way back to January 1st. So what day did they do a little tour ahead of time? Vicky says that clock is just ticking and nothing is killing us. Rita says they're talking about the steps in the back. Oh, okay, because the back door was open. Are there steps going to the back door, Rita? Vicky, the press is wanting answers and they are getting restless. I'm getting restless. Karen Unz, wouldn't she be on blood thinners? Most likely, yes, with a pacemaker. Did they really stay in the house that long, or was the first picture with no backpacks 30 minutes earlier and he came back from the same direction with tools? Don't know. But they're looking at the timeline as to when the camera was intruded upon versus when the pacemaker went offline. It looks like a single-story Spanish-style house could have a basement. And I think it may. But they were talking about getting her downstairs, so... And then somebody was like, well, maybe she's in the attic, because, one of the spirit boxes I listened to, they said something about the attic, and I guess other people heard that too. And they're like, have they checked in her attic? And everybody said, no, they don't have attics, that it's a flat roof. So is that true, Kermudge? If you have a flat roof, there is no attic? I know apparently she has either a septic tank or something called a cistern, and I'm not sure exactly. I'm sure you know what that is, a cistern. But that's not the same thing as a well. Is there a well too? Are there wells in the neighborhood? There is a road across the street from her house. Maybe left a vehicle there. Maybe. They've already said that she needs her medicine for her heart. Yeah. Sometimes I've had to go off my meds just the night before a morning surgery, and by the time I get to the hospital in the morning, I'm almost in critical condition because I don't have my meds. And I'm not 84 years old. Okay, Kermudge, explain to me. Okay, cistern is a water storage tank. Oh, okay. Is it underground? Or it's just a septic tank underground? Because it's not clear if she had a septic. So a cistern can be underground. Would that mean she would have no city water coming in on her street? I know she bought the house with her husband in 1975, and I don't think it was brand new even then. So the house was built before then, I think. Or fresh water. I don't know. The cops were up, and the FBI, they were back there looking at whatever. They said something to do with the water tanks or the septic. And I'm not sure what they were looking for. But the guy's been there more than once. Karen says they have things in they have those things in California, irrigation for farms. Oh, okay. Maybe she didn't have city water. I'm not sure. Like, why would she have a cistern? You can't, plant anything out in the desert because you don't have any soil. It's just sand and rock. Kermudge, when I was in Canada years back, I had a 3K gallon, 3,000 gallon cistern underground to keep it from freezing. In that area, it can be buried shallow. Oh, okay. And that's because there's no city water running. So people have water tanks in their backyards. Hi, Anthony. Welcome in. Yeah, somebody said that there was something about either a septic or a cistern, which are two different things. And now people are posing the question were there wells there? Do people use wells? Wells in those area can be extremely deep and cost too much to drill. With a cistern, they have a truck deliver a few K of water every few weeks. Oh, okay. So if you don't have city water and you don't have a well, you could have a cistern. Oh, the update, Jamie? Welcome back in. It was just that the guy that came to the door in the ski mask, he has been there before. And that's why there was the two different photos that didn't have dates on them from the FBI, where he's got the mask and he's got the backpack and the gun, but in another photo where he's more back from the porch, he didn't have the gun and the backpack. That's because he's been there twice, but they didn't say when the other day was. Karen says they have them in Hawaii. Jamie James says the pool guy. Hey, everybody's a suspect. But what I want to know is, where the hell is she? This is just making me crazy. I can't even imagine being in Savannah Guthrie's shoes right now. Like, her whole life and her family's life, everybody's lives are on hold. Because what do they do next? What if this case goes cold and they never find her and they don't know? And, do they presume that she's dead when there's no body? Like, do they have to go to court at some point and have her declared dead? Thank you, Kermudge. Yeah, I don't have a very big audience tonight, but I sure appreciate all you guys coming in. Just hit those red hearts and thumbs up buttons. I think you tap the screen for the red hearts, don't you? I'm not even sure now. I can't see it on my end. They collect rainwater, though, in Hawaii. Yeah, my very close friend lived in Hawaii for a few years, and apparently it rains every day there. That's why it's so buggy. And apparently Tucson's that way in the summertime. Like, I just heard some horrid stories. I was reading about it online. Like, you don't want to be there in the summer. He was on the property before, I'm assuming, scoping it out. Yes. But they're not giving a date. But they are saying that, yeah, the person was on the property before, and that's why they have that different set of pictures where the guy doesn't have the backpack or the gun. Jamie says it was 85 degrees here today. Where are you at, Jamie? It was 79 here, supposed to be 85 by Friday. I'm in Los Angeles. The Bear Pantry. Hey, Barbara. I'm here, but just listening while making my second ferment of kombucha. Oh, you're in Arizona. Oh, where in Arizona, Jamie? Are you anywhere near Tucson? Looks like his head is on backwards. Yes. And when there's the scene of him without the backpack and without the gun in the holster, it does look like it's on backwards. Oh, you're in Tempe. That's near Phoenix, right? Isn't that where the University of Arizona is? Well, I'm sure they have more than one location, but I know one of the big schools is there, I think. One of the big colleges or universities. It's already 85. Ugh. How things change quickly. Vicky says, I'm just praying that we know something soon, and I'm not going to keep getting down about this and start reaching out for the truth. Yes, Jamie. It really helps to have somebody come in from Arizona into this chat. Everyone here in Arizona is thinking about Nancy Guthrie. Yeah. Well, apparently, she's lived there for so long. Like, a lot of people knew her and just said wonderful things about her. I wish I had a mom or a grandma like that, She just seemed like such a sweet lady. Rita, you're in North Carolina and it's 42. That's crazy. Oh my God, 42 in February. Oh, you have a channel, the Bear Pantry? I'll have to check it out. The Bear Pantry Show. Yeah, you guys can always put that in the comments, after the video because the chat doesn't upload for a couple days. I know we were talking about that, Curmudge, but there's a video that I did that was like 3 or 4 videos ago, and it's still saying that it's trying to process and it's trying to upload in HD. I've never seen a message like that before. I've never been able to figure out how to get a video to upload to YouTube in HD. But it's still going tick, 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 tick. And all the other videos, even days subsequent to that, have already uploaded to YouTube. And that one is still stuck, saying that it's processing. I don't know what the hell's going on. Some kind of a glitch. Karen says the family is still in my prayers daily. Pascal, how are you? Once she is found, what will life be like then for her? You mean if she's found alive, never alone again? Yeah, absolutely not. 23 in Illinois. Donna McCoy. That's where my family was from, Illinois. Donna. Bonbons Cafe, West Michigan, 20 degrees. God, I feel so bad. It was 79 here today. It was just beautiful here today. Curmudge, yeah, that happens to mine as well from time to time. Okay, I thought so. Like, something's messed up. The Bear Pantry Show. Curmudge in Alaska, thank you. I'm elbow deep in my mixture here. I'll have to check you out, Bear Pantry Show. Jamie James, I want cold weather so bad. We are moving to Kentucky this year, most likely fall. I'm so excited. The heat here in the summer is scary hot. I can imagine. I was going to ask you, Kermudge, I know this is totally unrelated to what we're talking about here, about Nancy Guthrie, but you mentioned to Bear Pantry that you live remote and cook on a wood cook stove. Is that the big one that's in the main house? The real wide one that probably had to come by helicopter? It's that giant stove that you have in the main house? I think that's just awesome. And I can't wait to see your next video because you hinted in your last video that you guys have kind of changed your minds on what you're doing with the main house after the earthquake. And I know you're still moving into the cabin, but I can't wait for the next video. So please have another video as soon as possible, Kermudge, so you can explain all this. Donna McCoy, I'm in Ottawa. Oh, wow, Ottawa. My dad was naturalized Canadian, Donna. And one of my besties was from Vancouver. Yes, it is about 60 inches across, and yes, a hilly. A whirlybird dropped it off. It is in one of our videos. Oh, you mean with the helicopter? I have to find that. I want to see that. They are hot in the summertime. What, the wood stove? Jamie James, it's triple digits for about 6 months. So in my opinion, it's super important to find Nancy before summer hits. Absolutely. Is it true that in the summertime, Jamie James, that you get these monsoonal storms like they do in Las Vegas, but that causes, I don't want to say it here, but creatures to come out and get into your homes? Because I lived in the Gulf Coast and it was just awful there. And you have to live around pesticides all the time, and ugh. I still get the heebie-jeebies from my childhood because of that. All Things Country, hey, how you doing? Nice to see you, ATC. What's the weather like in your part of Canada? Oh, you're in Ottawa, Illinois. I was thinking Ottawa, Canada. Yeah, because I mentioned somebody had come in here from Illinois, that my family's from there. My parents and all my grandparents and their parents and my cousins, everybody's from Illinois except for myself. I'll have to look that up. Where is Ottawa, Illinois? My parents, they were and then my mom, she was raised about 2 hours outside of Chicago in central Illinois.